I love you. I love you. That's a parrot. When Republican George Santos was running for Congress last summer, during a debate, he asked his opponent,
George, do you have an honest moment inside of you ever?
Isn't that great? Let's watch that again. This is George Santos.
George, do you have an honest moment inside of you ever?
Do you have an honest bone in your body, right? George Santos, pathological liar. If he doesn't like history, he rewrites it. And that's why he found such a welcome home in the Republican Party, because it doesn't matter what you do, it's what you say. And it doesn't really matter what you say so long as it sounds good. Ronald Reagan, for example, raised taxes on the American people. He raised taxes on the American people, but it sounds good to lie, as Republicans do, and insist he lowered them. George W. Bush ran for re-election in 2004, insisting that he kept America safe from terrorists, conveniently forgetting 9/11, the single worst terrorist attack to ever happen on American soil. It occurred on George W. Bush's watch. Republicans still lie to this day and say Bush kept us safe from terrorists. And then there's Donald Trump. The Washington Post counted 30,573 lies that Donald Trump told in the 4 years he was president. That doesn't count all the lapdogs like Lindsey Graham who repeat those lies. Here, for example, is Senator Lindsey Graham earlier this week rewriting the history of the Trump administration's relationship with Mexico. Joe Biden was visiting Mexico, and so Lindsey Graham decided to rewrite the history of Donald Trump's relationship with Mexico when he was president.
Trump didn't have a magic wand. He scared the shit out of Mexico.
Trump didn't have a magic wand because I think Lindsey wouldn't share it. Yes, Trump scared Mexico, right? We all remember how he scared the you-know-what out of Mexico. Remember, he built the wall, and they paid for the wall. He ran for president in 2016 saying he's going to build a wall, and Mexico's going to pay for it. And they did. They paid for all of it because it never got built, but that doesn't matter. Trump insists the wall is finished. He says he finished the wall. And I'm not making that up. I don't know if you watched the rallies, but he says we built the wall. Those are some of the lies that Donald Trump and his liars keep repeating. Oh, and let's not forget the expletives.
Trump didn't have a magic wand. He scared the shit out of Mexico.
You'll notice the vulgarity now comes from the right. It's the Republicans who use expletives in speeches or on Fox News. That's because liars think words don't mean anything. So curse. It's the Republicans who want to be able to say whatever they want with abandon, without any consequences. They demand the freedom of speech to use the C word, the N word, make fun of people's ethnicity or disabilities, because they're just words. It doesn't matter what you say because it's just words. Lies are just words. Hate speech, they're all just words. And don't fact check me because your facts are just words. This study you handed to me that proves ivermectin doesn't prevent or cure COVID, they're just words. I do my own research and I make my own words. They're just words.
Trump didn't have a magic wand. He scared the shit out of Mexico.
It sounds tough, doesn't it? It sounds good and righteous, Lindsey, but it's a lie. Just like your entire life, Lindsey Graham, is a lie. Your personal life with the voters of South Carolina is a lie. And lies might work on Fox News or with your dumb GOP voters, but not here, not with us. You know, there are so many lies that people like Lindsey Graham, Fox News, they just can't keep them straight. Lindsey Graham can't keep his lies straight, but it doesn't matter because if your lie doesn't make any sense, just tell another lie. I'm David Feldman, and this is the Mop-Up. Joe Biden is also a liar. He did not get arrested trying to visit Mandela in South Africa. He insists he did, but he didn't. He did not get arrested in the 60s fighting for civil rights. He keeps saying he did, but he didn't. Joe Biden is a liar. He really is. But the Democratic Party, unlike the Republican Party, is not a house of lies. The Republican Party, especially this new Congress, it's all lies. And this new speaker, when it comes to lying, Kevin McCarthy makes George Santos look like George Washington, who famously said, "I cannot tell a lie. I chopped down this cherry tree." And we worship George Washington because he didn't lie about the cherry tree. Yes, nothing like an honest slaveholder. Anyway, the reason it took 4,000 rounds of voting to get Kevin McCarthy elected as Speaker is Republicans don't trust Kevin McCarthy because they think he's a liar. And for Republicans to think somebody's a liar, you got to be a big effing liar, just like, you know, George Santos, pathological liar, just like Mr. McCarthy. The entire Republican Party is a party of pathological liars. False equivalencies are lies. Two bad things are not identical. They're different. One is worse than the other. They can both be bad, but one can be a lot worse than the other bad thing. For example, Republicans will, invade the wrong country after 9/11. Actually, they invaded two wrong countries after 9/11. They invaded Iraq, and then they also first invaded Afghanistan. And let's not forget the lie that the Taliban had anything to do with 9/11. They didn't. That's a lie both parties tell. Bin Laden was hiding in Afghanistan and Pakistan. The Taliban weren't in on it. We could have easily invaded Pakistan after 9/11 because they were harboring bin Laden, right? That's where we got him in the end. In 2011, we supposedly killed bin Laden in Pakistan, but we couldn't attack Pakistan because they had nuclear weapons. So we lied and said Afghanistan was behind 9/11. The Taliban had nothing to do with 9/11. But the point is, the Republican Party invented both lies, and they invaded two wrong countries after 9/11, right? It cost literally hundreds of thousands of lives and trillions of dollars. But Hunter Biden had porn on his laptop, so that's the same identical thing, right? That's what, I don't think so. But Kevin McCarthy, if you're a Republican, same thing. Hunter Biden's laptop, worse than invading the wrong country twice after 9/11. Kevin McCarthy will say, no, Hunter Biden's laptop, it has lowered America's standing in the world. It signals to evildoers that America's weak. Hunter Biden's laptop invites terrorists to blow us all up. And don't forget that there is evidence that I'm pulling out of my ass that nearly 200,000 American children died from Hunter Biden's laptop. This is what the Republicans are basically saying. It doesn't matter if it's true. Here's how it works. Okay, you have two children. Let's call them Donald and Joseph. Okay, this is Donald. We'll call him Donnie, because he's only 6 years old and He's a Republican. And this is Joseph. And because Joseph is only 6 years old too, we'll call him Joey. And Joey is a Democrat. So this is Donnie and Joey. They're 6-year-olds, and they're both in the first grade, and they have the same teacher, Mrs. Lucerne. Well, they had the same teacher until Donnie, the Republican, brought a gun to school and killed her. And little Joey, the Democrat, he liked Mrs. Lucerne. So after Donnie shot and killed Mrs. Lucerne, Joey, the little Democrat, said, Donnie, I don't like you anymore because you just shot and killed Mrs. Lucerne. Little Donnie, the Republican, says, I didn't shoot her. And if I did, you can't prove it. And if you can prove it, I did it in self-defense because Mrs. Lucerne was coming to take my gun away and then turn it on me and shoot me with it, so I had no choice. And little Joey, the Democrat, says, well, you should never have brought the gun to school in the first place. And little Donnie, the Republican, says, I bought the gun to keep you all safe, right? This goes on and on while Mrs. Lucerne, the teacher, is dying, right? Finally, the principal shows up and order is restored. Little Donnie is put in the corner for shooting Mrs. Lucerne. We think he shot him, right? And then the principal notices that little Joey, the Democrat, accidentally left his Lego starship on the floor next to his desk, and someone could have tripped over it and broken their neck. And she points that out to little Joey. So off in the corner, little Donnie, who shot Mrs. Lucerne, he screams that little Joey should be put in the corner too, because someone could break their neck tripping on that Lego starship. And then little Donnie insists that little Joey is a hypocrite for calling me out for shooting and killing Mrs. Lucerne when Joey intentionally left that Lego starship out for her to trip on. And so, not to look like she plays favorites, the principal puts little Joey in the corner too. And that's exactly what's happening this week with Joe Biden's handling of classified material. Donald Trump shot and killed Mrs. Lucerne, and Joe Biden left a Lego starship on the floor that Mrs. Lucerne could have tripped over and broken her neck if Donald Trump first didn't shoot her in the face and kill her. As you know, we learned this week that when he was vice president, Joe Biden, seen here getting to wear Rose's necklace from the movie Titanic, Joe Biden took some classified documents home with him. And now the other side is saying this proves Donald Trump did nothing wrong. Huh? It's kind of like, O.J. Simpson back in the 90s saying Hillary Clinton is refusing to turn over her billing records from when she worked at the Rose Law Firm in Arkansas. She won't turn over her Rose Law Firm billing records to the special prosecutor. So that proves there's no way I, O.J. Simpson, could have possibly killed my wife. This is what we're dealing with. This is the logic we're dealing with the Republicans. And don't forget, Trump got 75 million votes pulling this shit, and the Republicans won the House, and they got 5 million more votes in the midterms than the Democrats did. This is what we're up against. Well, to refresh your memory, and by refreshing your memory, I mean my memory, because these things are impossible to keep track of, and that's what Republicans count on for their lies to stick. You can't keep track of their lies, and you can't keep track of their crimes. Well, to refresh our memory, last year the FBI raided Mar-a-Lago to retrieve boxes of classified material that Donald Trump was supposed to turn over to the National Archives, but instead decided to keep these classified documents just in case he needed compromise on all the people trying to arrest him for doing things like not returning classified documents when he was told to. And when you think about it, why would ex-President Donald Trump turn these classified documents over? I mean, he lives for this kind of stuff, for classified documents. He got elected in 2016 using Putin's compromise on people like, I don't know, Lindsey Graham, who has a secret that he thinks we don't know already. Do you think for 1 second Donald Trump wasn't going to use all the intelligence agencies at his disposal inside the White House to gather dossiers on his enemies, not to mention pocketing a couple $1 million, handing some of that classified material over to his benefactor, Vladimir Putin? Many of the classified documents left out on the floor in Mar-a-Lago were scattered to the wind, or they were left on Trump's desk and flipped over and used as scratch paper whenever Melania called with her honey-do list. You think Melania has a honey-do list for Donald, other than stop with the Big Mac farts when I'm stuck on the plane with you? I've been reading these books about Trump, and he is shamelessly flatulent on his planes. He eats garbage and then releases the garbage in another form, and everybody's trapped on his plane to smell it, Donald Trump. So he lives for classified material, Donald Trump does. He's sharing some of the classified material with others, but the really, really classified documents that Trump held on to, the ones which prove Osama bin Laden is really Liz Cheney, those he's holding on to for, safekeeping, his own safekeeping to keep him out of prison. That is a picture of Liz Cheney that's Liz Cheney. I never noticed the similarities, but I see it now. That is Liz Cheney, not Osama bin Laden. There's no such thing as Osama bin Laden. It's Liz Cheney. Unbelievable. Well, Trump, with his storage or not storing properly these classified materials and probably sharing them with friends and benefactors, he probably violated the Espionage Act. So his mishandling of classified material has been folded into the Justice Department's newly appointed special counsel's office, run by Jack Smith, seen here wearing Congressman Jim Jordan's jacket. Smith is looking into all the crimes Trump may or really may have committed. But now that Joe Biden, as vice president, took home some classified documents, Republicans are lying and insisting it is the same exact thing that Donald Trump did. It's the same exact thing. Senator Lindsey Graham, seen here adjusting his earpiece to the setting known as stubble. Stubble, it makes a woman's voice sound like a man's, so Lindsey will be interested in what she's saying. Lindsey Graham, who never met a false equivalency he didn't want passing through his pursed lips, Lindsey appeared on Fox News this week and had this to say about Joe Biden's handling of classified documents.
Garland, if you're listening, if you thought it was necessary, Attorney General, to appoint a special counsel regarding President Trump, then you need to do the exact same thing regarding President Biden when it comes to handling classified information.
Well, I think that any fair-minded person who's watching this, and I hope he is one of them, would agree with that.
Yes, any fair-minded person who's watching would agree with that. It's only fair, right? It's only fair to waste our precious tax dollars because shooting the teacher in the face is the same identical thing as leaving your Lego starship on the floor. And any fair-minded person watching would agree. Well, luckily, sober minds, there's still some sober minds that prevail on Fox News. For example, Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene appeared on Tucker Carlson while news of the classified documents in Joe Biden's garage, while that news was first breaking. As this news was coming on in real time, Marjorie Taylor Greene was clear-headed and calm, and she suggested that the Department of Justice, with its limited budget, not get sidetracked.
Merrick Garland is shameful. The fact he's the Attorney General is shameful, I would say.
He should be. He should be
agree.
impeached. Yes.
At least.
At least he should be impeached. Merrick Garland should be impeached. The news just broke, and Merrick Garland didn't immediately appoint a special counsel as the news was coming over the wire, so impeach him. Well, Jesse Waters is also on Fox News, and he had some angry brunette on who came loaded with false equivalencies on this topic. I don't know who this angry brunette is. I forgot to notice her name because I couldn't take my eyes off her falsies. Here she is showing off her false equivalencies.
Mingling
Where's the
classified
raid?
documents. Right. Where is the raid? And
Where's the FBI raid?
Where is the FBI raid? Nice false equivalency. Beautiful. Where's the FBI raid? Well, angry brunette, Biden turned over all the documents. He and his lawyers, unlike Trump, wasn't hiding the classified documents from the National Archive.
Mingling
Where's the
classified
raid?
documents. Right. Where is the raid? And
Where's the FBI raid?
Okay, the reason there's no FBI raid is Biden didn't know he was holding onto classified documents, whereas with Trump for a year and a half, the government kept asking Trump for the classified documents, and he wouldn't turn them over.
Where's the FBI raid?
You don't understand what I'm saying. Trump wouldn't turn the documents over, and he made his lawyers sign sworn affidavits swearing that he turned them over to the government, but he didn't. Okay?
Where's the FBI raid?
Okay, there's no need for an FBI raid because Biden's lawyers found the documents and then turned them over to the proper authority.
Where's the FBI raid?
You're not going to find anything in Biden's garage because he already handed them over to the National Archive.
Where's the FBI raid?
All right. Okay. All right. You really don't need to raid Biden's home. He's cooperating. Let me try to explain this to you, angry brunette. Here is a graphic from CNN that kind of explains the difference between Donald Trump's handling of classified material and Joe.
Where's the FBI raid?
Okay. You see, for example, Donald Trump had more than 325 documents. Joe Biden only had 10.
Where's the FBI raid?
They're not there. They found Joe Biden's 10 documents in a private office where nobody could get to them, but they found the 325 documents all over the place at Mar-a-Lago, which is open to the public.
Where's the FBI raid?
You can't, you're not going to get anything. They don't know how many top secret of the 10 documents that Joe Biden had. They think some were top secret, whereas Donald Trump's 325 documents, they know for a fact that 60 were top secret.
Where's the FBI raid?
Okay. Biden is cooperating fully, and Donald Trump didn't cooperate, and he's now under investigation for obstruction of justice.
Where's the FBI raid?
Okay, Karen. Call 911 and tell the FBI you want them to raid Joe Biden's home, Karen, because Joe Biden is black and you don't feel safe.
Where's the FBI raid?
Okay, the FBI. Well, obviously, before the week was over, Attorney General Merrick Garland did appoint a special counsel. His name is Robert Hur, who will look into this. But you should be certain, if this were the Trump administration, Trump would fire the special counsel, the Attorney General, and set fire to the Capitol.
Where's the FBI raid?
You do remember he set fire to the Capitol. I can assure you that when this is all over, little Donnie won't get into any trouble for setting fire to the Children's Hospital, but little Joey sneezing without covering his mouth, youngest American ever to be put on death row. I guarantee you Joe Biden will get into more trouble over these documents than Donald Trump will.
Where's the FBI raid?
George Santos, would you like to add anything?
George, do you have an honest moment inside of you ever?
No, they don't. They don't. Hey, it's Friday night, and if you're watching this live, come join me over at office hours. Starts at 8 p.m. Eastern. I hold down the fort for 2 hours from 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern every Friday night. The link is in the description. So just go to the description, click on the link if you have Zoom, and come join us. And let's continue the conversation. If you can't join me in office hours, leave a comment. I read all the comments, and I try to respond to every single one, especially the ones that make me laugh. Please like and subscribe to this channel. I'm David Feldman, reminding you to stay strong and protect the weak.